Let me begin with a landmark diplomatic visit, ladies and gentlemen. It's a historical significance we have. Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar's today visit to Dhaka, starting yesterday, 23rd August, marks the highest level Pakistani diplomatic trip to Bangladesh in years, and the first such by a foreign minister since 2012. The visit signals improving ties between the two nations following the political upheaval last year in Bangladesh. We'll have detailed discussion on this because in studio we have invited a terrific journalist, Salim Samad, who himself is awarded Ashoka Fellow for his wonderful journalism. He has a long journalism career. We have our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Pantho, who has gone through details on Ishaq Dar's and his career and his visit, reason and development of this issue. And of course, we have Norman Flat Barnes from Washington. Mr. Norman, welcome to SATV's International Affairs. Let's begin with Shamsul Alam Pantho. What are you observing in this visit of Ishaq Dar's in Bangladesh? Because this is a very significant and very historic visit.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rashid Kanchan. Very good afternoon to you, and very good afternoon to Mr. Salim Samad, and of course, good morning to Norman Floyd Barnes in Washington, D.C. Of course, this would be the first in the last 13 years where a foreign minister of Pakistan has visited Bangladesh, and of course, he's also the deputy prime minister of Pakistan. So definitely, we need to understand the importance of both of the roles that he is playing. There should be meetings even today with the respected foreign minister. Not only so, we understand that there would be future collaboration in multiple fields, including the military, trade, of course, understanding how we can benefit from one another. And previously we were talking about flights, direct flights between the two nations, Karachi and Dhaka. If that were to happen, that would be mutually beneficial. Of course, many parts of society does take to the fact of them apologizing for the events of 1971. However, history states that they have done so many times on many occasions. However, alongside, I do have other news that are of significance today. Over the weekend, we see FBI raiding the home of National Security Advisor John Bolton in America, and additionally, the Pentagon is trying to block long-range missiles capability for Kiev, so Kiev might try to attack Russia in the coming days, and Pentagon has already blocked such an effect. So there's much in the agenda today.
You have raised a very huge things that Pentagon itself blocked the long-range missiles from Ukraine to Russia. So I'm sure I should go to Washington right this moment with Norman Flat Barnes. Norman, would you please say America has started to support Volodymyr Zelensky to retaliate Russians' attack, and now America and Pentagon is blocking the capacity of Ukraine. What is the signal, Mr. Norman?
Well, first thing, good morning to everyone, and particularly my beloved people of Bangladesh. Today in Washington, the Pentagon has been very busy this weekend and overnight in regards to the significance of this blockage of the U.S. missiles being utilized to strike Russia. Is part of the negotiation that we hope to get between Putin and Zelensky about the war. They want to basically bring a conclusion to the war. At the same time, let you know, Putin disapproved of a attack. The Kremlin also had a planned attack of his office. They was going to use a hypersonic missile to have a direct hit on his, they approved, they have a direct hit on his office. He disapproved that. Again, they are still seriously considering a negotiation. So the idea of having his office attack and the Pentagon, the president and the Pentagon having to attack Russia is part of the negotiation. So they're trying to slow this tension down. But it appears that there's more to this regarding the escalation. They want to escalate the fight more, and the Pentagon is, like I said, very busy. And also here in the United States, the Pentagon is giving instruction by the Trump administration to move towards seizing another city. Chicago has been identified as the next city for the military federalization. So we are sitting here waiting with bated breath on what's next.
Mr. Norman, please let us know what's going on. Why John Bolton, once Trump's allies, very close associates, has become so much of tough critic on Trump's actions in international affairs and of course in domestic affairs. Why John Bolton became so angry to Donald Trump?
Well, he was once a trusted member of his cabinet, a trusted advisor. Apparently, they did not see eye to eye, and John Bolton is a very outspoken person. And since leaving the cabinet, he has decided to talk about his relationships, his experiences. So as a result of that, you notice this weekend, his house was raided, and they are looking for supposedly classified documents under his care. Whether or not they find it is immaterial. The point is that the president and the administration is showing that we are in power and we still go after our enemies. So he's been used as an example of what will happen if you try to go against the administration talking or any other action.
All right, John Man, here is in the studio, we have a very reputed journalist of the generation, Salim Samad, who has the experience to work in West as well. He is engaged with so many journalist association around the globe, including Reporters Sans Frontiers. My question is to you, sir. How do you see Trump's activities right this moment? Because yesterday I have seen in CNN some reporters is asking State Secretary Marco Rubio something about the development of Ukraine-Russia peace talk. He clearly says, talk to the president.
Thank you for having me on your show, Kanchan. And in fact, first of all, Trump during the previous term, he was more acceptable to the world, to the international body, and everywhere. Unfortunately, during his campaign, he had promised a lot of things, very progressive approach, but he has been failing, and especially the tariff all over the world, that has really angered the international bodies, most of the countries, and the tariff is very much more not on the basis of economics and trade and commerce. This is one to one. You don't like India, so India gets a Russia, okay. So this is what happening. He is in fact, he has lost trust not only in United States, he has also lost trust and confidence with the international leaders, especially the European Union. Can you imagine the European Union is a critic of United States or the European other countries even, and again rebuking, insulting head of state in South Africa, or even Zelensky in the first this time, of course, Russia and United States will not come closer. They will be having lot of trust and distrust, and with the conspiracy theories, Trump new sanctions will not affect Russia, number one. So there you can understand the relationship between Russia is not very towards listening to United States, listening to Trump. that Trump has no card. He has to have, other than the sanctions, he doesn't have cards to play.
Do you think Trump is playing with fire?
Trump possibly will be his last tenure, and many of his close allies, as you have mentioned, many trusted people, the trusted politicians, the trusted bureaucrats and civil bureaucrats and different civil society, they have fallen back. So they have literally have their support for Trump, the way they have supported Trump during the campaign. You will see most of them figures have. So therefore, Trump will not be trusted by his own people. Trump will not be trusted by his Republican Party.
Yes, sir. I am curious to ask one question to our international affairs specialist who is studying this subject, observing this subject very keenly. What are the implications of Russian recent military exercises near the Baltic region for European security? Because you have heard that Russia has done the third largest operations to Ukraine in the civilian zone with 40 ballistic missiles and 600 drones. But on the other side, you see the peace negotiation is in the highest level going on.
Thank you for the question. I just want to add on here that over the weekend we see on August 22nd Donald Trump and FIFA president Gianni Infantino was in the Oval Office, and much of the reporters or the media spokesperson that they were there, they asked about this Russian issue, which Donald Trump said he's warning of massive sanctions or tariffs one another based on what it is, and definitely on Russia in between 2 weeks. And now when Donald Trump says 2 weeks, he definitely doesn't mean that. I give you an example. During the Iran conflict, he said 2 weeks, and on the third day he had bombed the nuclear facilities. Now, what Donald Trump said, there is now going to be another 2-week timeline for Russia to end or understand this aggression that they have. Of course, Russia has the intention to occupy the land on the eastern flank of Ukraine. We've been continuously reporting the fact that their aggression is continuous, and right now, as we started the show saying, Pentagon is removing the US missile capabilities for Kiev. Of course, this definitely shows that there is a third aspect to this war between Ukraine and Russia, and is day by day it's coming out as involvement of the United States of America. Even though Donald Trump initially said that it will be a bilateral meeting before a trilateral meeting could ever be imagined. Now, before that can happen, Putin and Zelensky definitely need to sit down and understand the casualties of this war that has been going on for the better half of 3.5 years.
Right, sir. Let us again go to Washington, where our geopolitical correspondent, Mr. Floyd Norman, is there, who covers White House as well. Mr. Norman, one relevant question has come to me, that how has the Russia-Ukraine conflict evolved in recent weeks, and what are the latest positions of NATO regarding additional military aid, where we see Pentagon is going to block the Ukrainian capacity which has been powered by Pentagon itself? Mr. Norman.
Yes, the recent changes, strategies, basically I call it a narrative, is for the Pentagon is to restrict our support in terms of missiles capable of hitting directly into Russia. The supposedly, how I look at it, the supposedly outcome of that is that it will ignite Europe to get more involved with Ukraine, to provide more support, provide more resources, to help them deal with this aggression. So the strategy is to basically to back off, as the United States say, back off, to just level out and let our partners in Europe provide additional involvement and support.
Mr. Norman, right this moment I have received breaking news regarding your city. Donald Trump deploys troops in Washington DC amid crime crackdown. He has increased the number of troops. Hundreds of National Guard troops have been deployed across Washington's safest neighborhoods and part of a high-profile crime crackdown. Do you call Washington DC is a crime city? This is the world's capital. And what's going on there? Troops have been seen mingling with tourists, even taking selfies, while federalizing the issues with Metropolitan Police Department and intensifying security efforts. Washington has declared red alert. You are in that city right now.
Yes, the District of Columbia has become a military controlled environment. The district is the hub of American politics. Like I say, it's center place for the world. The Trump administration has basically federalized the city. He has threatened the mayor to basically saying that if she doesn't get her act together, as he stated, we're going to replace you. We're going to exercise home rule. So pretty soon the president is going to meet Congress and ask for an extension of this militarization. Right now, we have a ratio, believe it or not, a city of 700,000. We have a ratio of 100 police, security, military personnel for every person in the city of Washington, D.C. Hear me again, 100 to 1. We have that type of situation. So it's a military city. The people are outraged. They're protesting. The president is claiming victory, that he's basically is making the city safe again. They want to get rid of all of the immigrants. They're making a large number of arrests, and they are basically cleaning the city out of homeless people. They want to make it such an environment where it will entice future investors and world leaders and people like himself to occupy the city versus the current people living in the city. So we are in a position of transition. The city is being basically taken over by the military, and we're looking at pretty soon having the military moving around the city with weapons,
Right.
not just the police.
All right, Norman,
It's gonna be a
please stay
total
on the line.
military environment.
Stay on the line. Comment is Washington itself under military rule. Before I go to Salim Samad, I have just received another breaking news, which is former Sri Lankan president, Ranil Wickremesinghe. He is hospitalized following arrest. He has been arrested, and he took over when Gotabaya Rajapakse left the country, left the city. His government has fallen. Ranil Wickremesinghe is a very gentleman. He always a troubleshooter. He always come to the power to take over, to help the nations. Now he is in trouble, and against the claim against him using public funds of only $165,000 in London. I will definitely get your impression on that, but before that I want to conclude about the Russia-Ukraine, NATO and peace negotiation. My last question is to you regarding this. How is the Ukraine addressing the UK economic and humanitarian challenges caused by the prolonged conflict? Because sir, you have already understanding, everybody is understanding that Washington, including NATO members, are withdrawing their support from Ukraine. That means Ukraine is going to lose the war. Russia is going to conquer Ukraine. What is your comment on that?
Russia already is an invader. That has to be admitted. And I don't think that the European Union is backing out. The European Union is very much with the Ukraine, especially they want to provide military aid so that they can purchase. NATO will not be physically able to be present in Ukraine, and Ukraine's resources has already exhausted long time back. The trade and commerce, for example, I hope that most of us we are aware that the food aid, the grain, especially the wheat that used to come to Bangladesh under the FAO program, World Food Program, it is all came from Ukraine. Ukraine was the largest exporter of food grain to, especially to UN agencies, especially WFP and FO, and that has been cut off. So you can understand that it's very difficult for them. And number one, whatever is being resources, if you are talking about GDP, the growth, or the internal money resources, the food grain you cannot export because it has to be exported through a port, and that port is occupied, or that Baltic, that sea is being, including the Caspian Sea is literally, the Russians are very much active in that place. So they are not going to allow those cargo ships to come through Istanbul and then come, and of course come to Bangladesh or any other countries. So this is one. The Ukraine economy is shattered, and Ukraine even cannot pay their troops their salary and their other facilities. So they have to depend on volunteers. They have to depend on mercenaries. I mean soldiers. So like Russia has dependent on North Korean troops. They are also many. There are thousands of Americans who are fighting in the Ukraine war. I mean, it is an open secret. But they are not paid. They are not salaried. They are not being hired. So they came on their own aid. And of course, many European countries, Germany is very active. That especially young children, young people are. So you can understand that Ukraine has exhausted. They will not be able
you
to
said
continue the war.
Ukraine has got exhausted, but last 3 years, me and our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Pantho observing, working on this war situation. Sir, it was supposed to be Russia to be isolated because the actions of Washington and NATO members. Now see the bottom result. Ukraine became loser, became exhausted, became, according to Salim Samad, became even loser. So was it the diplomacy by the Washington and NATO members to make a weaker country beside Russia to use their land to protect themselves from Russia? Complicated, I know.
That was a very eloquent breakdown in questioning, but let me add on here, when we see Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump meeting in Alaska, August 15th, that day was a very critical turning point in the aggression towards Ukraine. Of course, the two leaders have shared camera time, the two leaders addressed the press, and of course, many world critics of Donald Trump say that it was a win for Vladimir Putin to leave from Alaska, historical land belonging to Russia. And not only so, today the agenda of this entire meeting was also a historic land of Russia, I mean Ukraine. So of course, it had scared the entire European Union countries. The leaders of multiple countries in Europe were seen immediately afterwards on Monday on that week meeting with Donald Trump. As Donald Trump was introducing everyone, he was not seen in support of the Russian regime or the Russian aggression, but Europe does remain in the coalition of the willing. 30 nations in Europe who are trying to understand how to stop Russia from this aggression, because they understand that the threat is far closer to them than it is to the United States of America. That is why we see various changes in international diplomacy and geopolitics. Today's important news that I was telling earlier, the Pentagon about restrictal of the long-range capable missiles. This definitely changes the war front. And of course, the drone strikes that are continuous by Russia are definitely causing a lot of casualties as well.
Let me pick one question from your statement to Norman. Norman, news is here that the next meeting between the Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky is going to be held in Geneva, the city of Switzerland, and news is telling that Pentagon, White House and President Trump, including the State Department, will send a high-powered delegation to influence the Volodymyr Zelensky and Ukrainian delegates to go to agree the Putin's conditions. Do you think it's a U-turn of diplomacy?
The first thing is that the Kremlin has not approved this. So right now the forecast is that this meeting will be delayed, if we ever have a meeting. The military aggression will continue. They're looking for more time to claim more territory as they delay and possibly cancel this planned meeting. So right now, I do not forecast a meeting anytime in the near future.
Mr. Trump says he's gonna make a bottom line on this upcoming peace meeting in Geneva. Do you think the NATO members also will join to sign in that bottom line agreement, Mr. Norman?
Once again, I don't. My response is that I don't think this will happen. I seriously doubt Russia will agree to have this meeting, and if so, the effect of the European Union, NATO-influenced countries will not even come together. So I don't think it's going to happen.
All right, Norman, when I'll again come back, I will definitely raise a question about the famine and starvation going on in Gaza. But according to your statement, I just need a reaction from Salim Samad, a veteran journalist. What is your comment? Is this going to be a prolonged peace negotiation process where Russia will continue its attack on the Ukrainian soil?
Okay, first of all, it is very important to understand why is United States so interested in the peace talks? Why United States Trump had an election agenda that he wants to have negotiate a peace, ceasefire. One thing which is very important to understand, that United States by US knows what energy or the resources, mineral resources is under the Ukraine soil. That America knows, and America cannot exploit until there is a peace, until the war ends. They cannot, because they have to, where the immediate neighbor is Poland, for example. So they cannot take it through Poland. They have to use the port to ship all their mineral resources or other, especially if it is liquid stuff, carbon stuff. So you can understand. So therefore, United States will definitely come to our conclusion of the peace, not only the peace talks, but also a ceasefire. Without a ceasefire, they have made an agreement with Ukraine, and Ukraine has Zelensky had openly have submitted to United States. Okay, you take away all my mineral resources, but help me. So you can understand the situation is not.
My last question before I go to the break, question to Shamsul Alam Pantha, our international affairs commentator. Do you think this peace process will make beneficiary to Russia to get acknowledgement from the world leaders, including America and NATO leaders, that what he has acquired from the land of Ukraine will be finally received by Russia and sacrificed by Ukraine? Is this possible? Because this is the main demand of Vladimir Putin.
Well, the clear underdog in this situation remains for Ukraine. They are the underdog in this situation, and what I understand is the war has escalated for 3.5 years. It would be far better for Ukraine to focus back on what they can do for their own country, not just taking support from the European nations in reconstruction of Ukraine, but where do the diplomatic table talk and where it lies? How can Ukraine and Russia come at similarities and ignore the differences? Of course, the eastern Ukraine flank, the occupied territories, I would call them occupied by Russia at this moment. The international community says that this is, of course, illegal in matter. And if a certain nation like America sees that it's all right for Vladimir Putin's Russia to claim these lands as his own, will set a new bar for international geopolitics, in my opinion.
Sir, time has come to go for a break, but when I'll be back, I'll have some questions to Norman Flatt Barnes regarding the Israel, Gaza and Middle East issues, because things are developing over there. regarding the peace also somebody is approaching. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be come back soon. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to International Affairs show from SATV studio. Let me begin from Washington, where Norman Floyd Barnes is there. My question would be on what is the current status of the famine declaration in Gaza, and how is the United Nations responding to the humanitarian crisis, Mr. Norman?
Yes, the situation in Gaza is devastating. historical. We have, well, we have officially a genocide. Gaza City is being razed right now. They are basically, the Israelis military is in the process of destroying Gaza City, the largest city there. Even with the definite, they want to destroy the city. People are dying at the rate of one every hour, 1 or 2 people every hour. Aid from the United Nations and other countries are coming in. They're allowing the aid, some of the aid airdrops to come in. But if let's take this situation and we look at, if we would stop the aggression right now, we stop the war just for a day, just for a week, to bring food in for the people, it would take approximately 2 months to get people back where they can now become human. I said human. Right now we have a very inhumane situation. People are dying, and it will have an effect for decades. So we are in a critical situation right now. We have a war machine that is moving, and they do not care about who is going to die on this situation. The collateral damage has been an acceptable part of this plan. So right now, Israel is in a situation where they have a focus, and they want to finish and end the war by completely razing Gaza.
Norman, my last question would be to you. What are the long-term implications of the Gaza famine on regional stability and international aid policies? This is my last question to you because you have the time limitations, Mr. Norman.
Yeah, the long-term effects is that the world will be dealing with this for many years, at least 10 to 12 years. This thing of the death and destruction, they want to destroy the whole land, but we have issues with people. The people are dying. The children are dying. People will die as a result of surviving this situation. So someone has to take care of that. Israel wants to destroy and rebuild, but they're going to have a problem because they're going to have to take care of the survivors. And we'll be looking at a situation like we had in Japan. It's equivalent to dropping a nuclear bomb.
Mr. Norman, I really appreciate your depth insight, depth contribution to this show. You are doing excellent. People started loving you in Bangladesh. The viewers started talking about you. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow, Mr. Norman. Ladies and gentlemen, let's come back to the studio. And as you know, the Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar is in a today's visit in Bangladesh right this moment. I'll go for a few questions regarding this trip to Salim Samad first. Do you see the visit as a turning point in Pakistan-Bangladesh relations, or will historical issues continue to overshadow future engagement? During the off-air, you are telling some article about the Dawn.
Before we go to Dawn, or rather Ishaq Dar's meeting is definitely significant, but you also have to remember that Professor Yus has already met the Pakistan Prime Minister in the sideline in the Cairo. So that is the most significant meeting. That had resulted in few other steps. That is, today Ishaq Dar is here. Unfortunately, Ishaq Dar was supposed to be in a few months before, but especially the India-Pakistan conflict, he had to cancel because the flights from Karachi to Dhaka or Islamabad, Dhaka, especially Karachi, Dhaka, that flight has stopped. Overflights of all Pakistani airlines has stopped. So that had restricted not only Ishaq Dar, but also other ministers, like for example the Commerce Minister, who was only 2 days before, he also had been at the so it is definitely a very significant, if you can look into, but relationship with Bangladesh and Pakistan will still, there are people have lot of distrust and suspicion about Pakistan's real intention to have a yes. Trade and commerce was already existing.
Do you call it G2G tensions or peoples to peoples? You
People
have
to
to
people.
clear.
There are among the especially if you talk about the other relationship, the relationship, trade and commerce was never stopped. If you look into the statistics of the trade and commerce between Pakistan and India or even Bangladesh, has never stopped. So there was a trade and commerce, but now as our international affairs editor have mentioned, it will rise. It will rise means, of course, the trade and commerce will definitely, there will be collaboration, new collaboration like manufacturing.
Sir,
So
in
that is
this
one.
point, let me do some clarification with our international affairs commentator. Ishaq Dar spoke about a forward-looking relationship. How realistic is that goal, considering unresolved tensions from the year 1971 what took place?
Very important question, a gruesome event in the inception of a nation known as Bangladesh as we are today. One can only remember the past for the betterment of the future. In my understanding, the past is a powerful reminder of what are the things we should never accept once more. Given that we are living in the 21st century, 53 to 54 years have passed on, I want to know and understand what kind of relationship we will have. The political parties, as I know, yesterday they have visited the High Commission of Pakistan in Dhaka on end of Gulshan Avenue, and various leaders are coming in, trying to understand what are the benefits of this bilateral friendship that we have historically speaking here. But of course, as I said even earlier on the show, aviation between the two countries, trade, economic ties, understanding the close tariff issue that we both are at a ranging tariff from the US. We're both the same tariff almost, if not, while our neighbor on both ends, India, is going with a 50% tariff from the US. That's another issue, but that's how the entire Western world sees us as a bloc, as the subcontinent. But from what I understand, that this meeting or this visit by Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar is definitely of significance, given that we were talking about a tri-nation axis between China, Pakistan and Bangladesh earlier on various shows. Of course, we would try to understand now where that kind of axis stands at.
Sir, one question. From morning, I was receiving from our humble viewers that Pakistani Deputy Prime Minister is in Bangladesh, is welcome. It is a government visit. He will meet his counterparts. Why he is meeting with the political leaders in the High Commission? Because you have to understand this will create some debates as well. How do you see as a journalist?
No, diplomatically in different countries, the head of state was in Bangladesh earlier before. They also met the civil society and the political leaders. So that mainstream political parties. This is nothing new, but they have at least two political parties have told Ishaq Dar about what is the future of the status of 1971. And let me tell you one thing. It is not only Bhutto when he came in 1974, when Sheikh Mujib was still, the Prime Minister of this country. He had went to the Sabar Martyrs Memorial, and where he planted a tree. And of course, by doing that, he has accepted there were martyrs in Bangladesh, where people were killed. And of course, they were killed by not only by the Pakistan army and their henchmen. So that is one. So he had in his note in the Sabar Martyrs Memorial, it is still there. They have mentioned a word called sorry. Let me come to Pervez Musharraf. When he was landed in Dhaka during a SARC conference, he also said the same thing, that he is sorry of what has happened in 1971. Imran Khan, on the Geopolitical live television, he mentioned that Pakistan must, not urge, Pakistan must seek apology to Bangladesh for, and he said, I have seen the people, the face of the people in 1971, because he was in a cricket team. he was in Dhaka. Of course, that is a different story. So, but Pakistan did said sorry, that is true, but Pakistan has officially have to say a seek apology, like Japan, like the French. Recently, the France has sought apology to Burkina Faso. Same with Japan, with Korea, and of course the Manchuria, that they have been terrorized at that place. So you can see that there are two words, one is sorry and one is seeking apology. These two diplomatically is totally two different definition. You cannot say sorry, I have said sorry, that is enough. No, you have to seek an apology, official apology. Bhutto's sorry is not recorded in the Pakistan history, contemporary history. Same with Pervez Musharraf, same with Imran Khan. I'm not sure about other head of state. Zulfikar, especially Mrs. Bhutto, she was totally said, I was too young. He wrote in his book, Daughter of the East, he mentioned about 1971.
Sir,
he said, I was too young to understand what happened in Bangladesh.
Let me be very honest. You belong one generation and our international affairs commentator belong another one generation. My question is to you, sir. Should we really sing the old song, or should we really look for the forward-looking relationships for the betterment of these two similar nations?
Half a century has passed. That's the question, that's the statement, and that's the duration of how long it has been. We won't ever forget in thousands of years to come of what they have done. One we can never forget, but we must. Armenia as well. There are very sad, we must never forget. That's the bottom line here. But we should of course work for mutual growth, mutual understanding and mutual respect. Whether or not that can be attained, I am sure it can be attained. Given unless we are now galvanized by territory, we look at our common neighbor between the two countries, India. Of course, we had the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi going on a delegation in mid-August. He had visited Mr. Jaishankar in India, and afterwards he had visited Pakistan. The timeline of such a travel for the Chinese Foreign Minister does raise a question. China and India are trying to fix their ties. We know that they have had tensions, border clashes, but due to Donald Trump's raising tariff on India, India is trying to look forward to a regional stability and regional growth. Once again, we know we've had debates for India losing all of its neighboring countries, or India's losing popularity amongst its neighbors, and these are one of the issues. But I want to bring out what has taken social media by storm yesterday.
Yes.
We see Mr. Joseph Vijay Chandrasekhar, who is a popular actor from southern India, in his meeting or in his rally yesterday. He was addressing the crowd, of course, and he does come from a political party, the TVK, and he had announced that he sees Narendra Modi's government as for targeting Muslims and Tamil identity, and of course labeling BJP government, Bharatiya Janata Party, as fascist and declares a political war. Yeah. So this is a breakout happening in India, which Pakistan, Bangladesh, China and everyone else in our small community should take notice
Sir,
of.
we did not say Modi government is a fascist. One of the popular actor in his country, accepted by all over the world, he has said Modi and his government is a fascist. Let me put this question to Salim Samad.
If you look into the investigative report by the rights group, especially the Gujarat riot, so you can immediately, the Gujarat riot, after the Gujarat riot, many countries including United States has banned Modi's visit to United States. So when he became a prime minister, of course he was able to visit the United Nations, and of course United Nations. So coming to the issue of Modi belongs to BJP, which is a Hindu extremist organization. That you have to, it is not a secular party like Congress, for example, like if other organizations. They are secular parties. India still have a secular constitution. They still, the Supreme Court, the High Court, they upheld secularism, especially wherever it is violated. But coming to BJP as has mentioned, and of course the Modi, they are not a secular country, a secular party, and of course, so when they look into the neighboring states, they look into the other way. They look into Pakistan as a Muslim, and of course Bangladesh also a Muslim. Bangladesh is not a Muslim country. Bangladesh majority can be a Muslim country. Bangladesh constitution is secular. Pakistan constitution is not secular. So why they are also looking toward us as an enemy? I mean, maybe they will not fight a war, but they are looking as enemies. So Modi cannot be trusted.
Modi cannot be trusted. This could be the concluding line of today's show, ladies and gentlemen. Can you remember, if there is a cricket match between Pakistan and India, most of the Bangladeshi supporters support Pakistan. If there is a cricket match between India and Bangladesh, we see the fun and supports from Pakistan. Why the political leaders, why the governments don't understand the wish of the people of these two nations? We welcome the visit of Deputy Prime Minister of Pakistan in Bangladesh, and we believe this trip will make some turning points between the development of two nations, two countries, and the people of two different areas. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll again see you tomorrow.